Okay, so to review the questions, when Chazal and Mesaken, when they enact an enactment of the sages, so they do it, and it's all and based on a Torah din, they extend it. So they do it. The halachas that define the din derabanan are ke'ein deiraisa tikkun. They establish them just like deiraisa. There are many examples of that. Many examples that the Chachamim extended the mitzvah to apply to other cases as well. And those cases will have the same law as Torah law. So the question is that since the Chachamim now are establishing that we should light the menorah to remember the menorah and the Beis Hamikdash, why is it different in so many ways? In the number 7 as opposed to 8, and the place, the Beis Hamikdash is on the inside and on the right side. That's coming out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. It's the right side. If you would, as we said yesterday, if you're walking into the Beis Hamikdash, it's the left side. South is on the left. If you're coming out, it's on the right. And the Neiros Chanukah is number 1 outside, and number 2 on the left. The time also, the Beis Hamikdash is lit. The Neiros of the Beis Hamikdash are lit Plaga Mincha, which is 1.25 halachic hours before sunset. Right, that's the halfway point between 9.5 and 12. That's Plaga Mincha. So that's when the Neiros Mikdash were lit after the Korban Tamid was brought. And the Ner Chanukah is later. Ner Chanukah is the mitzvah is to light it by Shkia, by sunset, which is the 12th hour. We're dividing sunrise to sunset into 12. That's the Shailis Bachlal brought in Chassidus. The Fidige Rebbe adds another question that Par Aduma is different in all mitzvahs, with the exception of not Par Aduma, Ner Chanukah, with the exception of Par Aduma, which is made outside. So this is also performed outside. Par Aduma has to be slaughtered away from the Harabayis. So he answers, why is there a Chanukah outside? Because of Pisum Menissa. So just a word about Pisum Menissa. Pisum Menissa is a general obligation that applies to every miracle that God does. It's a mitzvah to Mefarsim, certainly a mitzvah done to Klal Yisrael. So there's Pisum Menissa Chanukah, therefore it's did on the outside. But he says, but this answer is not sufficient. Because in Makayim, Pisum Menissa, for example, on Purim, by eating by Mishta and Mishlech Mones Matonas Devyonim, and it's not done outside. So we were discussing this yesterday, but without going to the Arichas, the question I have now is still unanswered, and I've put it out there to a few. Talmidei Chachamim, no answer yet. And that is, that if he wants to draw a parallel to Purim, talking about the Megillah. The Megillah Beferish, the din is if you don't read the Megillah at its right time, you need people because of Pisum Menissa. And Rashi explains that even when you read the Megillah on its time, and each individual can read it himself, that itself is Pisum Menissa, that each person is reading the Megillah. So why bring an example from Mishta V'Simcha, which the discussion of Pisum Menissa doesn't even appear in Gemara? But the Gemara does talk about Kriyas and Megillah in the context of Pisum Menissa, bring that as a raya. The Megillah is not read outside, even when it's Barabim, which is the point is Pisum Menissa, it's still read inside. Now, we're also discussing what about Pesach. So as Meir points out, well, he compares Purim and Chanukah because they're both midrabanan. But also Pesach is a little bit different because it does have mibachutz. It is very much outside. First of all, Poshet, the Korban Pesach, you're taking your lamb to the Beis Hamikdash, burning the chametz outside, and the whole preparation of, no chametz and bringing in. So it's very much out on the street. So the shaila is the Yom Tov to compare it to would be therefore Purim, which is again both the Chacham Masakim, both of them. So that's the obvious parallel. And my shaila remains, why not talk about Kriyas and Megillah? So I'm waiting for the big scholars to get back to me. They're thinking about it. Okay. So you start explaining those bays that no, Chanukah is different because the point of Chanukah, unlike Purim, unlike every other Yom Tov, its nekuda is lahayres hachayshech. The point of Chanukah is to illuminate the darkness. The Yevonim, the Greeks, wanted lashkicham, make us forget your Torah, and so on. And especially after their metame, all the oils of the heichel. So there's an increase in intensifying of chayshech, of darkness in the world. Therefore, when they were overcome, so therefore the Chacham Masaka and Neiros Chanukah to illuminate the darkness. And that answers all the questions. That's why it's dafka after sunset, because we have to illuminate the darkness. That answers why it's outside in the public domain. And on the left is Gevurah. Klippa comes from the left, from the Tzimtzum. And so we have to illuminate the left, the Tzimtzum. That's why it's 8. Because in order to illuminate the darkness, it's one of the questions. The menorah is 7, and here we have 8 candles. Why wouldn't they masakan it similar to the menorah Beis Hamikdash? Because the point here is to illuminate the darkness. And for that you need 8, because 8 is higher than ishtalshalos. And not only 8 lights, but 8 days. We were also discussing that, but Akapani will leave that. Also 8 days. As you pointed out, because even if you light one candle, still lighting it 8 days. So why? Because the dafka inyan of Shmoyne, because the revelation of Chanukah is higher than ishtalshalos. Then he said, there's 2 inyanim in this oil that illuminates in Chanukah, and especially in the Neiros Chanukah. Interesting, there's been May Chanukah, the days of Chanukah, or befrat the Neiros Chanukah. You have to understand that nuance, but you can understand especially because the Neiros, they actually illuminate. They do the actual illumination. Okay. So this was nimshach through what? To the Mesiras Nefesh of Matisyahu and his sons. So he says that's 2 inyanim. Melamata lamayla, melamayla lamata. What's melamata lamayla? From below, the starting point is below. Because of the great chayshech, the chayshech itself aroused within them the mekerch of Mesiras Nefesh. They went beyond their own hishtalshalos, beyond their natural limitations. And through that, they were mamshich eirin tzaf higher than hishtalshalos. So that's all melamata lamayla. They're reaching this level. He says the word mamshich. The emphasis is the level that they are reaching personally. What's melamayla lamata? That this earth illuminates the darkness, comes down, as it were, and illuminates the darkness of the world. So we finish the paragraph. So they conclude. So this explains the difference between Neiros Chanukah and Neiros Mikdash, because the oil that was to do this, no. Okay, V'zeh Atam. So we're up to V'zeh Atam. Now he's going to draw till now we explained the reason for all the way we do the mitzvah. No, this continues. He gave the reason already. But now V'zeh Atam is deeper because how you do illuminate the chayshech through this oil, which is l'mayla mishtalshalos. What did he add now that he didn't say before? He added this was elicited through the Mesiras Nefesh of Yidden. That's what he added now. This oil, which is higher than ishtalshalos. That was the point that he said. So now, conclusion of all this, Vizeho is concluding everything he said. This is the reason for all the aforementioned distinctions between Neiros Chanukah, Neiros HaMikdash, between the two. The Oishay b'Mikdash, that which is revealed in the base of Mikdash, given Shabbat Lo Yad Mesiras Nefesh, since it didn't come to the Mesiras Nefesh, therefore, Gilui the Ishtalshalos. The level of Alikus revealed in the base of Mikdash is a level related to creation, and therefore it's Zion Neiros, the 7 middays, 7 days of creation. Now, a revelation that's tailored to creation cannot illuminate darkness, because darkness is a reality, part of creation. Darkness opposes it. So the base of Mikdash doesn't deal with chayshech. It's therefore on the inside. Ubi on the right side, Dorim, the south. The Yamin again is revelation, that's Oir. So it's all in a very luminous place to the exclusion of the dark world. When did you light it? Sometime before sunset. Plaga mincha. When Neiros Chanukah shalachad Mesiras Nefesh, but Neiros Chanukah is a whole different revelation because that comes to Mesiras Nefesh. Him shmoinen Neiros, that's 8. Higher than creation, the whole system, than the divine forces of creation per se. And that that can illuminate and does illuminate the darkness. And explains in that Hemshech, this Tavshin Dalet. That's the reason why it has to be on the outside. To the public domain, mitzvah. We don't find any mitzvah milvad paraduma, with the exception of paraduma. Shetzich has to be in the public domain. I mean, l'chayra, it's even more than paraduma. Paraduma is Yerushalayim, Haramishcha. It's got to be facing. When they shecht it and burn it, you have to see the base of Mikdash. Neiros Chanukah is mamash u'susei Rabbi. It's interesting he doesn't point that out. It doesn't, at any rate. Shetzrich elit b'shusei Rabbi kinyonim shel Neiros Chanukah l'Neiros HaChodesh Shusei Rabbi Kanalka. You said, says the Frierdiker, because the point of Neiros Chanukah is a different, unique agenda than all other mitzvahs, and that is to illuminate the Chodesh v'Shusei Rabbi. Now the Rebbe, if we need, however, further explanation why they're given. Since the revelation high Nishtalshalos made by Chanukah illuminates on Chanukah, and this revelation can illuminate the darkness of the public domain, and that is what? How was it elicited? What did he say? The Frierdiker Rebbe. Actually, not on this Maimon, that's other Maimorim. That is Nimshech Yisad Mesiras Nefesh Matis Bonov. So what elicited that? What's unique about Chanukah is the Mesiras Nefesh of Matisyo and his sons. We have to say, Shagamo they put him. Hamsemish they put him. Nimshech Yisad. So Purim is also Mesiras Nefesh. So Purim also elicited this revelation. On the contrary, Purim even more so in the square brackets. And especially considering the Chanukah, the Mesiras Nefesh on Chanukah was mainly only Matisyo and his sons. The Rebbe points out that when we say the whole Ananissim prayer, Tmeim B'hat Tahirim, it's talking about Yidden. God is not shaykhs to Tumba. It's talking about things about Yidden. They were a minority. Most Jews were embarrassed with them. Most Jews, Achmanistan, had had Hellenized. They'd become modern. So there was only them. The Purim was all Yidden. And he sends us, I don't have that sefer. So it's one of them is my modim of Oder. I'm not sure he sends us there, because the Mokkah is the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe says that any Jew that would have, it's a big chiddush of the Alter Rebbe. We don't find a Maamar Chazal like that. We don't have it. That any Jew that would have opted out and denied their Judaism would have been spared the Gzeir of Haman. And not one did, and it was a whole year hanging over their head. That's a tremendous Mesidas Nefesh, and it's all Klal Yisrael. So maybe he's sending us there, that points us to the Alter Rebbe that talks about the source. I don't know. We could find it. It's not a Purim mime, but it's a other mime. Maybe you put him cotton to put him cotton mime. That could be. That's what it is. Yes, could be put him cotton. But the Tetzava could be. I don't know. To look it up. Still, Alpha became late Tikno, Purim, it's Rabbi. So Purim is also through Mesidas Nefesh, and therefore it's Mamshech, this Eid that can illuminate the darkness. And yet, on Purim, we don't have the Inyan of Rishus Rabbi. Purim is not orientated towards illuminating the darkness, even though it has it even more than Chanukah, because the Mesidas Nefesh was greater. And that's what elicited this Eid of Shmeina. That's beyond the Shtalshalas. Gimel. Question's clear, yeah? Now this that we say, we have to qualify this. We said that the oil that was revealed in the Beis Hamikdash is contained to ishtalshus to the system, the divine system. And that cannot combat darkness. Darkness is a real opposition. As we said before, quoting from the Maimorim of the Frierdiker Rebbe. So that we should, I was pointing out, that's true, but that's when we speak about the revelation of the Beis Hamikdash compared to Chanukah. But in general, not compared to Chanukah. Even that which is revealed in the Beis Hamikdash, it was a revelation that on the general level, Cheshach cannot stand, cannot resist it, and cannot oppose it. Commission is barely like we learned in the Maimah before, we learned in the previous Maimah. Why was it Binyan Beis Hamikdash to Dafka through Shloimeh? Even though the plans were made by David, because the Abisha told David, your son Shloimeh, Ish Menucha, man of peace, V'shalom v'sheket, etin al Yisrael b'yomav, and I will grant peace and tranquility to Eden during his days. In brackets, doesn't say in the pasuk v'lachem, but that's the meaning, and that's the reason why. Therefore, yivnes bias tishmi, he'll build the house, God says, to my name. So the whole point of Shlomo Melech is that it was b'derech, that he impacted the world, and in the way of Shalom. No menagit v'zesher kol ha'goyim hoy b'teilim l'shloimoi, and this that all the nations of the world will battle him, and that's why the pasuk is Shalachem yeh b'yom of shalom v'sheket. There'll be peace and tranquility in the world. So the relative to Eden, well, the fish Shleim will b'chinas melech shashalom shalem, because Shleim is a level of melech, lashon the pasuk in the Shir Hashirim, unto whom the peace is his. Melech shashalom shalom is in Shir Hashirim for the Shleim melech, and what's that? And in social, my name is Taushal. So even the Beis Hamikdash is also the level higher than Ishtalshus, all to be explained later in detail in the Maimah. And relative to this revelation, the Beis Hamikdash, not Chanukah, Neiros Mikdash, all of the opposition is nullified. Even the Beis Hamikdash is actually even before the Beis Hamikdash was built. Was already during his time when he was king, even before he built the Beis Hamikdash. So once he built the Beis Hamikdash, the revelation was greater still. And yet the question is, Vafa begin the Chanukah. No, not the question, just pointing out so far. Began the Chanukah. Still, relative to Chanukah, Gamma Gili Sheheb, relative to Chanukah, it's still considered a revelation that is bound to the system. And we have to understand the difference. If they're both beyond the Ishtarshalas, so what's the distinction? How can we say, and on the one hand, that in Beis HaMikdash, it's beyond the Ishtarshalas, and in the same breath, it's Bechlal Ishtarshalas? Bemis, this was answered in the previous Maimah, but this Maimah is going to elaborate on it. Gam tzarich biyah, and further questions. So we brought before from the Maimorim, why is the time after sunset? Because the point of Neiros Chanukah is to illuminate the darkness. Medical question. The question is, Eshev and Neiros Chanukah, Beis HaChoshech. What's the point? This that Neiros Chanukah illuminates the darkness. What's the point? Their light illuminates the darkness, the night. So the question is, why do you have to light it, kindle it at sunset? Kindle before, as long as it illuminates into beyond sunset, the light illuminates the darkness. Why must it be lit after sunset? Yeah. A similar question coming up. Another one. And also have to understand that which we brought earlier, why the place where Neiros Chanukah placed. And the answer was, why is it placed outside in order to illuminate the darkness in the world? Why? Can achieve the same end without that. If it's a revelation that's boundless, beyond the system, it's boundless. Even if you light it in the inside, it's boundless. It illuminates, there's no limits, and it illuminates even the public domain. Because the light of the menorah is a boundless, infinite light. Now, to make the question even stronger, based on the previous Maimah, it's beautiful. And especially that in light of which we learned earlier, there he explained in the difference in the refinement of the world that the Mishkan, the Aron of the Mishkan affected. And the Beis HaMikdash effect, the difference was, he explained, that the Mishkan elevating the world was through a battle. And he adds the word kumai, because it wasn't an actual battle. But the Aron did have to go out in the desert and clear the path for the Yidden towards the promised land. It went in the desert. The Mishkan, meaning specifically the Aron, they levaded to elevate all the halis and to refine and elevate it, and it took the divine sparks that fell there. That's the Mishkan. Whereas the revelation that was done through Shloimeh, this is not the previous Maimah, separates the Shloimeh himself, Melech Shasholam Shaloi, and especially when he built up Beis HaMikdash. Interesting, that distinction. Those two levels. That wasn't the Aron, the Mishkan didn't, the Aron didn't travel. The Shloim Vaibim Koime, right? Kum Hashem Limnuchasecha. Rise Hashem to your resting place. Even the sparks, even distant ones, they were drawn of their own accord. So the question is, if that's how it was by Mei Shloimeh, how much more so, and he didn't have to go anywhere, and he elevated the world, and they came to him, how much more so, the Neiros Chanukah, Now that we're saying that Chanukah is what Shulam Gam Beis Hamikdash is even higher than Shlomo Melech's, even higher than the Beis Hamikdash. So surely this is a revelation in the public domain in such a way, not required. Not that it has to descend to the place of darkness to illuminate the away from derech mamela, much more so could remain in its place, your light inside, and it's a oil which is even higher than Shlomo Melech, and it will illuminate the greatest darkness, b'derech menucha, b'derech mamela, in a peaceful way and in a natural way. As he concludes, we need a further explanation for this fact that no, it has to be placed outside. So what are the two beautiful questions in this is? Number one, just in summary, why?
Actual lighting has to be outside, not just that it's.
Why does the what?
The actual lighting have to be outside.
That was the first question. The Zman.
Why Shkia specifically?
The Zman. Why does actual lighting have to be?
It could be by
Shkia.
It could be by night.
It could be like the Beis Hamikdash before Shkia, as long as the Neiros continue to illuminate. It's the oil. So if they're still illuminating and Shkia comes, they illuminate the darkness. So the Shaila was first on the Zman, and then the Shaila on the Mokkah. You could still light them inside, and it'll illuminate the greatest darkness. They made the question very strong, introducing or considering Neiros Hamikdash of Shlomo Melech. Namely, just spell out the question. Ma doch Shlomo Melech's
Was Shlomo Yishtalshalos.
Shlomo
was the derech menucha Shlomo Yishtalshalos.
So make
and that compared to Neiros Chanukah is even higher.
Neiros Chanukah is even higher. It's the emes higher than Yishtalshalos. And if Shlomo Melech spelled the question, and if the Beis Hamikdash's menorah was able to affect what? B'derech choshev b'derech menucha. You don't have to go there. Mikol shkein. That's the point. You don't have to go there. How much more so that it's Chanukah is a higher gili for sure doesn't have to go there. Stay in your place, as it were, and choshech is this battle.
Even if you're in.
Right. Guys on the Zoom, yeah, we're all good. Yossi says, good to see you. I was thinking of you.
Yeah, I'm good. We're good.
Okay, we're following. I'm moving quickly, but I think we're following everything. Yes.
Hashem, Yossi, great to see you too.
What did Chaim say?
He also said it's nice to see Yossi.
I'm going to stay.
Happy to see Yossi also. We're all happy to see Yossi.
With such a welcome, I'm going to come back only every few months.
May, happy to see you. Fishel.
Yossi, we're very happy to see you.
Jacob, Chaim, okay. Dalet, v'yuven ze behektem. This is so beautiful. It's a hemshech. V'yites kistiv, which everybody kocht sich in, right? Everybody learned it and knows it. Yuvan ze behektem, we'll understand all of you by prefacing Mashakosov Yiduch Hashem kol ma'asecha. All your works will thank you, God, v'chasidecha yivarchucha, and your pious ones will bless you. So, Mavai Admo Marashab b'Maimar Dimascha Pada b'Shalom. The Rebbe Rashab explains in his Maimar, which begins with these words, Pada b'Shalom of Shebehemshech, of Terav Ayin Beis. Huva, and the Rebbe said, we brought it, we quoted it. In the Maimar, the Master Pada b'Shalom, in the Maimar that we said, the Rebbe said, of Pada b'Shalom, Shtem b'Bitis Kislev, the Rebbe said, it's Kislev. So explaining the part, let's get the pasuk again, let's get it clear, because it's all your works will acknowledge you, will thank you, and your chasidecha, your pious ones will bless you. He says, this that the concluding words of the pasuk, your pious ones will bless you. Who besmiches follows. So besmiches means right next to. Who behemshech and follows from the opening words of the pasuk. Yiducha Hashem kol maasecha, that all your works will thank you. They're two separate things. There could be two separate psukim. All your works will thank you. Your pious will bless you. No, but it's one unified idea. Why? The whole pasuk is required to understand each part of it. What is it that the Hasidim are benching? Now, bracha means hamshacha. Remember, the word bracha means to draw down. That's what it means literally. What is it that your pious ones are drawing down? The words for Chasidecha don't tell us. But the words Yiduch Hashem Kol Masecha, they tell us what the level is. What they're drawing down is a very lofty level. What's that level? Namely, Hashem's revelation beyond the whole system, the divine system. And that's conveyed in the opening words of this pasuk. Why? It's a level that cannot be grasped or defined, only acknowledged. So that's the opening words of the pasuk. Yiducha Hashem kol maasecha, all your works will acknowledge you, meaning a level that can only be accessed through acknowledgement, but not through definition. Heidah, like admission, acknowledgement. Yiducha. That's a level we're speaking about. Now, who can be mamshich such a level? Only Chasidecha. Therefore, the pasuk continues. And who will draw that level down? It's Chasidecha, this level beyond the Ishtalshalos. Ki, because Amshachem Makim Zeh, to draw down from this place. And he adds in brackets, B'ofen de bracha. Bracha, as he goes on to say, means it's certain, it's not a request. It happens. So, that's only through the Inyan of Chasidecha. So what is this? Now, and in order to explain this, the great virtue of this revelation, this beyond the Ishtalshalos revelation, and in brackets, and also about and to understand why it's only this Inyan of Chasidecha that can draw down in a way of bracha, in a way of certainty, command, as it were. A bracha is a command. It's only Chasidecha that can be mamshich this level of Yoiducha. In order to understand the level and the Inyan of Chasidecha, Makdim Ba'maimer, the Rebbe Rashab explains first, Hachiduk bein bracha and tefillah, the difference between bracha and tefillah. This was explained in the previous Maimer, but here comes chidushim, nuances, as always. When the Rebbe repeats something in Beis Medrash B'lei Chidush, it's always with a nuance, more obvious, less obvious. There's an advantage of a bracha, of a tefillah, and there's an advantage of tefillah of a bracha. A little bit we'll stay here. What's the ma'ale of bracha of tefillah? The tefillah is man supplicating God from below to above. The one, the worshiper, the one who prays, the one who requests is below. Mavakish and request, that heaven grant him. That's tefillah. But bracha, the one who is giving the bracha, on the contrary, stands above and he commands, descend. Bracha milamayla lamata. Bracha is from above to below. Sham bevarech, the one who gives the bracha, and he adds in brackets, who does that? Zeh sheyesh lekeich levarech. The one who gives the bracha means he can do it. So he must be, in order to do so, he is by definition l'mayla mashoresh, above the place, the source that he is commanding, as it were, that should be drawn down. Shemen nimshechas habracha, from where the bracha is coming, and therefore he's the master, as it were, of it. He's above it, and he commands it to be nimshech. U'mamshich oisa milamayla lamata, and he commands it And it's mamshim above to below. It's actually bracha b'dei. That's why it said it's a tzivoy. You should have. The kivin shem bavarach yitin Hashem yitin l'cha lekim bracha. It's a statement of fact, a bracha, commandment. The kivin shem bavarach. Why? Because if it's a true bracha, it means the one who blesses ulamayle ma'ashodesh shemimenu nimsheches habracha. He's above that place from where the bracha is being conveyed. He's above it, therefore he can command it. We'll continue tomorrow, the mile of tefillah. Good yontiv, everybody. Lashon tova tikosev, v'sichosem b'limud achsidus, u'b'darkei achsidus.